You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the May 20th meeting for the Michigan City Common Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Michigan City Common Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, May 20th, 2025. I would ask if you would all please silence your electronic devices and please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of prayer.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we do roll call, for the record, Dr. Kaur did indicate his absence on today. And for there, Madam Clerk, on roll call, please.
Mr. Beatrice,
Present.
Mr. Coulter,
Present.
Mr. Dabney,
Present.
Miss Lee,
Present.
Miss Moldenauer,
Present.
Mr. Nelson,
Present.
Mr. Preselinski,
Present.
and Miss Tillman.
Present.
We have 8 present and 1 absent.
Approve of the minutes. If there are any corrections regarding the regular council hybrid Zoom for May 6, 2025.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Council Preselinski and a second by Councilman Coulter. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Miss Lee. Aye. Miss Moldenauer. Aye. Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski
Aye.
and Miss Tillman.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Reports of standing committees. Reports of standing committees. Reports of standing committees. There are none. Finance Committee meeting. The Michigan City Finance Committee meeting did not meet on today due to that there were no claims for May 20, 2025. The City of Michigan City 2025 Riverboat Rainy Day Fund Statement of Cash Position, Fund Type 2235 Riverboat Fund Ending Balance $1,886,238.65. Fund Type 2236 Rainy Day Fund Ending Balance $1,830,213.71. The fiscal year to date, May 20, 2025, the grand total ending balance, $3,716,452.36. Are there any reports from boards and commissions? Any reports from boards and commissions? Any reports from boards and commissions? There are none. Moving down the agenda, any reports of special or select committees? Any reports of special or select committees? Next, we have reports for mayor or other city officers and departments. I would like to Yes, Chief Court. Okay, if you don't mind, okay. We do have a guest speaker, Sasha G. Burns, environmental educator and public outreach of LaPorte County Solid Waste District, presenting Recycle Smart, Do Your Part.
Madam President, may I say a couple words, please, to introduce her?
Councilwoman Moldenauer.
Thank you. Sacha has been a strong advocate of recycling, not only Michigan City, but all of LaPorte County. And just to remind you, our community sends an inordinate amount of trash to the landfill, which costs our community between $500,000 to $600,000 per year. So that's why we're really backing this initiative to get people to recycle more very strongly. And Sacha, thank you so very much for being with us here this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, the departments that are involved are the Department of Refuge, and I see that Mr. Chris Carter is here, who's the director of that department. And Daisy Lee was our first champion for recycling when she served on the Michigan City Sustainability Commission, and actually was the chair of the Recycling Garbology project team. So, and I don't see any commissioners from sustainability this evening. So thank you so very much.
No problem. So I am Sasha. I work for Solid Waste District, and it is very important that we all recycle correctly and right. Maybe told me to turn this way. Oh, I'm going
if
to
you
the
can-
microphone.
Yes,
Oh, second, guys.
there you go.
I'm pretty loud. It'll come out of here? No, we'll just move it. Okay. Right? Am I good now?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, so it's important that we all recycle correctly. So a lot of people are intimidated by recycling because they feel there are so many rules. They hear the nonsense that our recycling is going to the landfill. And I can tell you that our recycling, as long as it's on our accepted recycling list, is going exactly to the recycling sorting facility and then going to an end market where it's turned into something new. The importance of recycling the right items is because it'll cut down on the damage to the machinery at the sorting facility, and it'll make it so there's less contamination in the recycling. So by contamination, that's mostly wish-cycling items, which is where people feel that that item might be recyclable, and they place it in the bin. So some items that's okay with because they have different technology that will sort these items out. But other items, it is not good for any of the stuff. So like today I went to the recycling facility and somebody had a water hose in their recycling that was tangling around a lot of the machinery there. So I've seen other things, like I had a lettuce showed up at the recycling sorting facility. And so it's important that we put the right items in. I did bring some items with me, so I can kind of give you an idea of some of the different ones that require specialty recycling, and then ones that we can put in our bins, and then other items that are actually trash. So I'm going to show you guys some of these. And we're actually going to have a recycling workshop later this summer where I'll do a full presentation on how to recycle correctly as well. All right, let's start with these guys, you guys. So cartons, a lot of people, they're mixed items because there's a wax layer inside. So usually on recycling, that means no. However, any kind of carton can be recycled in our program. So usually they'll say on there somewhere that it's a Tetra Pak, or it will say on there, you'll see the chasing arrows, the 3 recycling marks on there. That means you can recycle it. If you ever have a question if you can recycle something or not, you can always call our office. You can find us on Facebook, email us, or visit our website. Okay, plastic bottles, very important that we keep our lids on, you guys. So it used to be that we had people take the lids off, and that was mostly because people were leaving the liquids in the bottles. So we want your bottles to be empty and lids on. Don't be recycling your lids off, because that will also go and bind up the machinery, the conveyor belts and stuff. Okay. Aerosols, this is a new one. So if you have an aerosol can, so something like this where it's like an air freshener or spray whipped cream, those can now go into your regular recycling bin. Before they weren't able to, now you can put them in your regular bin. Things that are still where it's like spray paint or other items that are in like an aerosol that are hazardous waste, those would need to come to one of our special collections, which we do once a month, May through October. We just had one this past Saturday at the fairgrounds. The next one will be June 16th, I believe, at LaPorte Fairgrounds. Okay, so, but look at the items, and it usually will tell you whether or not they can be recycled. LaPorte has an amazing program because the recycling facility that we're using right now is where we can do plastics 1 through 7. It used to be where we couldn't do number 6s, which would be polystyrene, but solo cups fall into that category, which you would think a solo cup would be easily recyclable. In our program we had before, we weren't able to do those. So now you're able to do 1 through 7, which when you look in the little triangle on any kind of plastic material, have a number in there. That number is basically the chemical makeup of that product, of that type of plastic. So when they sort those, like all the 1s need to go together, all the 2s need to go together, and so on. So it's very important that you look at that number, because a lot of times if you don't see the recycling symbol on there, that might not be recyclable, those items. Okay. Okay, vitamin bottles, yes. Anything smaller than a credit card, no. Okay, so if you have something that's smaller in height or width of the credit card, you're not going to want to put that in there because it's too small for the machinery to recognize it. When stuff is too small, it ends up in the glass line because a lot of times the glass gets all broken before it gets to the recycling facility because it's being compacted, it's being kind of jumped around in there. And so everything that's small ends up in that glass line, and then they have to be able to remove those contaminants from there. So we try not to do anything smaller than a credit card. But so something like this is fine to go in there. But if you have like a little mini bottle or something, we'd like for you to keep those out. Okay, we got like a little Jello cup. All right, so foil on top, plastic on the bottom. Completely recyclable. So you can remove the foil and put that in because foil in any size is recyclable as long as it's clean. Don't be putting it in there if you got like your lasagna cheese all over there. Not good. Okay, but then the plastic container is also recyclable on there. Spaghetti sauce jars are also a tricky one because usually they have like a glass jar with a metal lid. Leave the lid on there. You still keep your lid on there, even though it's a mixed material. Before it gets to the recycling facility, that glass is going to break. There's a magnet that's going to pull the lid and it will all still get recycled correctly. All right. Shredded paper is now okay to put in our recycling as well, but we still want you to keep away from the plastic bags. Plastic bags are definitely a no because they will go and they'll bind up the machinery as well. And sometimes the machinery, all the material moves through so quickly that the workers aren't able to pull those bags off to get them pulled open. So if you want to put something in a bag, use a paper bag and do it that way and it'll totally be fine. Or a box, you can do that too. All right. Trying to think what other ones, you guys. So when we do the workshop though, we're going to have lots of different recycling tips and tricks. We're doing a beach cleanup every Monday, 5:30 p.m. I'll bring buckets, I'll bring grabbers and gloves. You guys are all welcome to attend. We went last night and there was plenty of trash already on the beach that was small litter that isn't picked up. So it's mostly like caps, cigarette butts, straws, that kind of thing. But we all got full buckets last night when we went through. So we're trying to keep that beach clean for all the people that come to visit it and enjoy it over the summer and keep it safe. There's a master recycler class that started last week. Tomorrow will be the second night of it. That is 6 p.m. at the Solid Waste District in LaPorte County. It's free to attend. So if anybody wants to still sign up, I have room for that. We go on field trips and you learn all about the Solid Waste District and all the different types of programs that we offer. Anytime you do have a question though, please reach out to us. We are super friendly people and happy to help you. So we want to see everybody recycling correctly. And it's amazing when you actually recycle out all the items of your trash that you can recycle because you'll realize that you have so much little trash left. And if you take advantage of all our different collections, so our household hazardous waste, our electronic trailer that we have over on Kentucky Street, we have public recycling dumpsters over there. There's styrofoam recycling in LaPorte now, all sorts of different programs that you can pretty much end up with like maybe a bag of trash a week, if that. You know, you'll be contemplating whether or not you actually want to take your trash to the curb. So, any questions?
Excuse me, Sasha.
Yeah.
Actually, your presentation is for council. This is not comments from the public. So it would be any comments from the council at this time. Councilwoman Moldenauer.
I want to recognize Julie Smith. She was hiding behind Gail's head there. She's the newest member of our Sustainability Commission, and we just appointed her last meeting. So thank you very much for being here, Julie.
Councilman Przybylski.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Sasha, thanks for coming tonight. And I know that myself, being on the Solid Waste District, being the president of Solid Waste District and the mayor, us three met, I don't know, about a month ago, with the concerns about having a stronger presence here in Michigan City and trying to increase the recycling. So I'm glad to see that, you know, you're here tonight putting on the presentation, and I'm all for helping this program, you know, do better than what we're doing. And I know that the refuse department is certainly looking for more for help to get this going. And you did say that styrofoam is being recycled in LaPorte.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get recycling over here for styrofoam? What's the issue with that?
So we would just need to get an additional trailer to put it in and then find a way to secure it inside weather-wise. So,
okay.
Yeah, if we could figure out that, but we could look into it for sure.
Okay. All right. Something we can talk about.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming anyway.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Councilman Beatrice.
Thanks for the presentation and interesting information, because I know some of the stuff that before we couldn't recycle, we now can. That's good for us to know. I think my wife is keeping Amazon as popular as they used to be. We have boxes that are arriving almost every day. And I know the boxes we can recycle, but I remember calling once, and the boxes that pizza comes in are not recyclable because they have cheese and stuff in them. But what about the boxes that frozen foods are sold in? You get them when they're frozen, you take them home, you take them out of the box, and then a lot of them are in plastic and you can just throw them in the microwave. Can you recycle those boxes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And any box that hasn't touched food, you're good.
Yeah, and if it has food, like so on, okay, sorry. If it has, on pizza boxes, if it has the grease and stuff on it, you want to tear that part off, but if there's clean to that still, you can still recycle the bottom part of it. So a lot of them are doing that little layer in there, like a paper piece of some sort, so it kind of captures the grease, and then you can recycle more of that, pizza box.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Councilman Colton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sasha, you're fantastic, and I just love that. Like, as long as I've been back in LaPorte County, you've been doing this job and just like living it. And your enthusiasm is infectious. That's great. One thing I wanted to just reiterate is that we've got the beach cleanup is now Mondays at 5:30. It used to be like 10 a.m. on Mondays. So this is a big improvement. So thank you for making that change. And then one of the questions I have kind of builds off the question from Councilman Prespolinski. So like when you get a McDonald's cup, it's got plastic 5 on it.
Mhm.
So that's styrofoam, right?
6s.
Sixes. Okay. Okay. So yeah, they're just reiterating that we really need to get styrofoam recycling here in Michigan City, because I've had like a box of styrofoam sitting in my foyer for months, just like waiting to be that much fuller to be worth driving to LaPorte. It'd be nice to not have to make a trip. Yeah. Thank you.
And Sacha, I just would like to know if you could provide to us and to the public an email address if anyone should have any questions in regards to how or what needs to be recycled, and a phone number, if you could share that with
Of
us.
course. So, email address, I'm going to spell it out for you guys because it's sgburns@solidwastedistrict.com. So it's SGEEBURNS@solidwastedistrict.com. But if you go on our website and you click on any link, it'll probably take you right to me. Also, our website is listed on the side of your recycling can, as well as our phone number. So anytime you have a question, if you can't remember where to check, just go out to your recycling bin and all the information is printed on the side of it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Are there any other reports from mayor or other city officers and departments?
Good evening, Council President, Council members. Marty Corley, Michigan City Police Department, Chief of Police. I had got a request from Councilman Prespolinski, and I have been talking to Councilman Vietri, reference golf carts and to the sort. So I wanted to kind of come today and give some information and answer any questions that are available, or any question that anyone has. Basically, golf carts are illegal to be operated on a roadway here in Indiana. The only way a golf cart can be operated on a roadway here in Indiana if there is ordinance basically through the county or local city government. Their ordinance, for instance, LaPorte City and the Valparaiso cities, which are cities close to us that are comparable to our size, they have golf course ordinances. Their ordinances parallel with Indiana Code 9-13-2-94.5. They parallel close to what in that code is considered a low-speed vehicle. Now, low-speed vehicles in the state of Indiana are operable on roadways, but they're not your traditional golf carts. Those vehicles, some of them you may think they are golf carts. They kind of look like golf carts, but they're more of like the 4 or 6 seater type vehicles that has that golf cart look, but they're not classified as golf carts. Actually, the BMV will not plate a golf cart, your traditional golf cart, which you see on a golf course. In your ordinance, though, if you want those vehicles to be on city streets, they have to mimic some of the requirements in a low-speed vehicle, which I get to, but they also have to be a permitting process, which traditionally in those cities, the police department takes care of, and there's a fee for those permits. So for instance, so I'll give you the definition of low-speed vehicle. Basically, a low-speed vehicle means a four-wheeled, electrically powered motor vehicle with the maximum design speed of not more than 25 miles per hour. The equipment specifications are headlamps, front and rear turn lamps, tail lights, lamps, and stop lamps, reflectors, exterior or interior mirrors, brakes, a windshield, a vehicle identification number, and seat belts. Those are low-speed vehicles. So a lot of the city ordinances that allow golf carts on their cities mimic those ordinances. And also, you have to have a valid Indiana driver's license to operate a low-speed vehicle. So golf carts are illegal on the roads of Indiana unless there's I'm gonna say it again, unless there's a local county or city ordinance that specifies these type of parameters for those type of vehicles. Low-speed vehicles, though, again, can be operated on the street, but they are not your traditional golf carts. A lot of people think if they get a golf cart and they put the headlamps and all that on it, that they're a low-speed vehicle. They are not. A low-speed vehicle cannot be altered or produced. It has to be produced that way off the assembly line. So if you get a golf cart and you add all this stuff on it, Indiana BMV still will not plate it. But if your city has an ordinance or your county has an ordinance, then it could be registered with your local police department, unless the ordinance specifies another place. Any questions?
Yeah, Madam
Councilman
President.
Chris Belinsky?
Yeah, Chief, just for clarity, did you say that in order to drive a golf cart, you have to have a valid operator's license?
So if
Is that
there
what you
is,
said?
if there is ordinance or if there's a local ordinance or county ordinance, then in that ordinance it will specify the requirements. Majority of those ordinances that cities around us that are comparable to us, they require you to have a valid driver's license in order to operate it in guidance with that ordinance.
Mr. Beardry?
I'm glad you're talking to us about this topic, Marty, and I appreciate again going to your office on last Friday and having a Zoom meeting with Chief McIntyre
Yes,
at Valparaiso. We had an opportunity to talk to Chief McIntyre about Valparaiso's experience with golf carts. It's been legal in Valparaiso since 2021, and he shared with us that they've only had a request for 16 permits in Valpo as of last Friday. Whether that might go up with the summer now coming, I don't know, but it has to be permitted every year. The other thing he shared, which I thought was interesting, is they've only had 2 accidents that were golf cart related since in the last 4 years. Unfortunately, one of those was fatal, but he mentioned that probably would have been fatal if they'd been in a car. Either the golf cart wasn't a factor,
correct.
and they've had no real issues with golf carts in Valparaiso, and the port chief said the same thing when I talked to him. But the point you brought up about golf carts are not golf carts like you would see on the golf course is true. I did some research, and if you want to make a golf cart legal to comply with the ordinance, you're going to probably spend somewhere between $6,000 and $16,000. The average is about $13,000 because there's a lot of stuff on them that they don't come standard. And I have had a member of the community in my ward talk to me about golf carts and asked me if I would support it. I talked to the mayor. She's not a fond of that idea right now. And I almost think, and I shared this with Chief Corley, that this is an idea that's going to become more popular in Michigan City once we have people living in these condos and apartments and homes that we're looking at building. Sola, 11th Street, Pine Street. I think that there might be more and more enthusiasm about this. But I kind of like the idea too. I mean, we share that it's not a bad idea, and I'm not really opposed, but I just don't think the timing is right now. But I don't know if the public jumps on board. I mean, I can be swayed. Thanks.
Councilman Chris Belinsky?
Yeah, just one more comment. Anyway, Chief, thanks for coming. You and I had a discussion on the telephone. I appreciate you coming because to me, I'm not a big fan of golf carts running around the city. You know, I can maybe, you know, down on the beach area, if you're going from this street to this street and there's not a lot of traffic, that may be one thing. So I picture in my mind sometimes that, you know, some young teenagers, what have you, are going to get out on Michigan Boulevard and take off in a golf cart. Something, you know, unforeseen could happen that nobody wants to see happen. And I just think that, you know, if other communities do it, that's fine. I don't care what other communities. I'm looking out for the protection and the safety of the residents of Michigan City. And, you know, I don't know, you know, the enforcement of or whatever, but I mean, I get calls on it. I get emails on it about people driving golf carts here, there, all over. No, not all over, mainly down by the beach area, which I can understand. But yeah, I just think we have to, you can't stop everyone, but we got to keep it under control.
To your point about driving also, I'm kind of more leaning towards the mayor's thoughts myself. I think, but to your point about driving with these ordinances, though, there's strict areas where you can drive them at. So again, like I told you, they can't go over 25 miles per hour, or they can't drive on any road that exceeds a speed limit of 35 miles per hour. So they will be restricted to certain streets. They can cross like Michigan Boulevard and Franklin, but they cannot drive exclusively on those roads. And then it might even have to, if like in other communities, like Valpo, for instance, in their ordinance, there's a map that shows where you can and cannot, where you can cross, where you cannot cross. It's very detailed about where you can drive it at. I will say that even though certain parts of Franklin, majority of Franklin is about 30 miles per hour, but we will want to keep them off of Franklin, driving with the regular traffic. It could be a mess. As far as enforcement, it's never been really a priority, but I think this summer we will look more at enforcing it. You know, the one thing that comes into play in our neighbor Long Beach, they're pretty active in there because they have an ordinance. But what happens is you have people from Long Beach who come over, where in Long Beach, they have an ordinance that says you can drive a golf cart on their streets. Majority of their streets are 35 and below anyway. And then, you know, within, you know, it's just like Michigan. 1 minute you're in Indiana, 1 minute you're in Michigan, 1 minute you're in Long Beach, you're in Michigan City. So I think those are a lot of where we have a lot of our problems. And then I know Beach Walk, inside of Beach Walk, you can have them, but when you come out, you can't. And so I think that, you know, with people coming out of town. So I think it's something that, if that's something that you all are looking at, I think we need to do a lot more investigating and making sure that the teeth are there in order for us to enforce. I guess really the only part I really like about it is the fees. I mean, those are, I mean, the fees I think will have to be at a level where when people are fined or whatever, they would really feel it, and then they'll be more apt to look at, you know, the laws and make sure that everybody's following them. I kind of compare it to the gun laws. 2021, Indiana allowed to be a constitutional carry state. Now everybody's buying guns. And again, for you Second Amendment people out there, I'm not telling you you don't have your right to bear arms, but what happens is you have untrained and irresponsible people now in possession of guns because they can have them. And so that becomes a problem when you start allowing things to happen. Now you have, it's legal, but then am I going to make sure that my 16-year-old kid's not on it and so forth? So, and I know they can still do it now, but I think, you know, when you legalize it and make it an ordinance that you allow that floodgate to kind of open. So we should, you know, tread lightly if that's the way that we want to go as a city.
Councilman Dabney?
Yeah, Marty, real quick, the Sheridan Beach homeowners meeting is Saturday.
I'll be there.
And you know that. And I'm sure some of them are watching.
Yes.
And could you quickly explain how it works with Beach Walk? And because I've had this conversation with plenty of people out there. They're riding within Beach Walk and then they come out onto Lakeshore Drive and want to drive up and down Lakeshore Drive.
So while you're in Beach Walk, those are private roads, but when you come out of Beach Walk, now you're on city-owned roads, and so those golf carts are illegal. And again, we've gotten complaints of people who've rolled them to Al's Carwick, you know what I'm saying? But again, I think the biggest concentration of them are more on the beachfront because of that community, and everybody's driving either to the store, it's right up the street, or to the beach, or to, you know, to Matey's or wherever it is that they're going right up the street. I think those are the biggest areas. And again, we'll concentrate on those areas this summer to make sure that we have better enforcement and make sure that people are following the rules. What we will do is we'll try to educate the public before we start our enforcement. So here in the next week or so, we will get something out on our social media and have a press release kind of outlining the golf cart situation the best possible.
So I appreciate you answering that question before it comes up Saturday.
I was already prepared.
Because I'm sure somebody is watching and it is going to come up
It's
Saturday.
still gonna come up.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Moldenauer.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I have been invited as a speaker at the Shoreland Hills Property Owners Association meeting on Saturday morning. So I will carry this message to them. And lots of times when I hear from the residents who live in that area, it's because there are teenagers who are definitely underage. They don't have driver's license, that are driving around like crazy. And also people not obeying the traffic signs that exist, you know, at the intersections. So I'm glad to hear that you, your department, and everybody will be looking at this as a serious safety issue, really, you know, and I am committed to everybody's health, well-being, and quality of life. And I think this is one of these things that can really get out of control during the summer months. So thank you, Chief Corley.
Thank you.
I would just like to just end on, first of all, thank you for providing this information on behalf of Councilman Prince-Belinsky and Mr. Beatrice. One of the things that I have noticed in the summer months is that I see them a lot at the Lighthouse Mall periodically
Okay.
and at Lighthouse Restaurant.
Okay.
So that's where I normally see them. And it's usually, I would say probably high school, maybe college students that's on them. So just if you're in that area during the summer months, those are some of the areas that I've noticed them.
Yes, ma'am. And again, like I said, we'll make that part of our enforcement efforts. As you know, 2024, 2025, we're at that point where our manpower, we're really 2025 is where we're at the manpower, and we can do a little bit more things. So I think as that comes along, a little bit more things are put on our plate to be expected. So just give us a while and we'll clear that plate off and make sure that we're doing the best of our ability to enforce, you know, everything out there. And if there's no more questions about the golf cart issue, I wanted to also address, I was able to attend the workshop on the short-term rentals. And one of the things in Councilman Coulter, I know you had sent me some message. I had already kind of started drumming up those numbers, and I will every month we will start adding the loud noise and loud music and the disturbance numbers to our stats to show you. But just so what we did is went back through our cost of service log, and for when people call in and they talk about loud music complaints, which are traditionally parties, they it's either labeled a loud noise complaint, a loud music complaint, or disturbance. So I looked at those three complaints, and I kind of concentrated on the area, that Sheridan Beach area, where a lot of our complaints came from in the workshop. And just to give you some numbers, so out of that, we had a total of 35 calls for service from January 1st of 2024 up until 5/16 of 2025. Out of those 35, we've only had 3 so far from January 1st, 2025 to 5/16/2025. So I know at the workshop, everybody made it seem like they were calling every day. It's not an everyday situation, not saying that it's not an issue, just kind of looking at the numbers. And I know this year we're not into the summer months, but just kind of showing you the numbers. I mean, there's, you know, in a year's time, there's only been really 30 calls for service. Was your biggest number. So 2024 is 30 calls for service, and that's all year long. What I will start doing is trying to break it down more in the summer months to kind of look that way. We'll look at the numbers basically on the time of frame when the short-term rentals are really being rented. And I would say summer is probably the most when your Airbnbs are being rented, but we'll continue to look at those stats, and we'll try to do whatever we can also to help alleviate that problem. Like I told you at the workshop, you know, parties to the normal person may seem like a bigger deal. But again, we can only do so much when we go there. 9 times out of 10, when we go there, you knock on the door, somebody answers, if they do answer, or the music goes down. And there's a lot of PC that's involved in order for us to get in the house. And then so now you're basically tying up manpower to get a search warrant for a party. And again, not saying it's not worthy, but it's just kind of balance out. Are we going to be hitting the streets where people are calling about domestics, fights, shots fired? Or are we going to spend 4 or 5 people on this party where now we're there, the music actually is lower? So I would say traditionally, 9 times out of 10 of the calls we get for these loud parties, they're not always underage drinking parties. And if they are underage drinking parties, we do put a little bit more investment into it. But if they're just adults being loud, 9 times out of 10, they're going to knock on the door and ask them to call to lower down and then go on our way. So I don't want people to think that we don't do anything. It's just that it's not as explosive as it always seems on TV. So any questions about these numbers?
Yeah, just so you kind of laid out the process of getting a violation. So if the officer shows up so you can make your first call at 10, right? So they're going crazy. It's Friday night. You have to work tomorrow. You can make your first call at 10. So then the cops show up and then they leave. When can you call again?
I mean, if it goes back up, you can call right back. So we'll come back. Again, what happens is, so every call does not always make the same officers not dispatch. So if they don't hit or dispatch, or if dispatch doesn't give them any information that, you guys are just there an hour ago, then they're going to go there and do the same thing the first officer did. Hey, not call it down. So I can tell you from my days on the street, we would traditionally go, and again, the laws vary a little bit different now, but we would go. There's been times when we go to a house, knock on the door, ask you to lower the music, make it loud, whatever it is, lower down. We've come back the second time, and if it's the same officer, sometimes we try to effect an arrest for disorderly conduct if possible. Okay. So again, we will do as much as we can, but again, it's just weighing out your manpower of, not saying your manpower, just weighing out your personnel, what you have in the situation you have in hand. So every situation not going to be the same. We're going to go knock on the door and break it down and arrest everybody. We're going to look at all the factors and, try to get people to comply with just verbal interaction.
Thank you.
Are there any other? Councilwoman Moldenauer.
Thank you. Chief Corley, those numbers were very important and they sort of just went over my head. So those were 30 calls.
So from January 1st, 2024 to May 16th, 2025, there's 35 total. But from January 1st, 2025 through May 16th, 2025, there's only 3.
Okay, so it sounds like to me, people say they're calling the police, but they're actually not calling the police.
Yeah, and I think it's not. I don't want to call nobody a liar, but what I can tell you from doing this job for 25 years and trying to be available and listen to everybody's complaints is a lot of times what we do is sometimes we kind of let go of the old and it kind of carries with us because that's what reminisces up here the most. And so something that happens 2-3 weeks ago may seem like I've called every day since then, but I'm not telling you until 2 or 3 weeks later. So it makes it seem like I've made it seem like I've called for 2 or 3 weeks. But sometimes people, may not report stuff, or they might call once or twice. But by the time they get to you all to tell you all about it, it's been 2-3 weeks later. So when they're talking in conversation, it makes it seem like they've been calling every day or every other weekend for that. And a lot of times it's not that many times. So I'm not saying that they're lying. I just think that when they're bringing their complaint or issue to you all, that it's expired. And what I always tell people that, saying the one thing I can't do is I can't go back into time and address it. Now I guess we can retrain on it, but I can't go back and resolve a problem that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. What I can do is though, if I can handle a problem that happened a day or 2 ago, and we can kind of, look at our tactics and what we're going to do and better resolve it next time we do it. So I always try to tell people, don't call me, call the police, call us. And then if you don't get your resolve, then we can look at it and do it. But if you just call me because you thought an officer should have did this, or you thought they should have did this, or thought they didn't, and you didn't actually call and have no interaction, then it's kind of hard for me to, I guess, deal with that.
Thank you very much for explaining that, because I think that a lot of times people are thinking, I'm not gonna call because nothing's gonna be done about it, but just logging it gives your department an accurate, realistic evaluation of actually what the situation is in the community. So I really want to encourage our residents to call in to the police department for that. Is there a certain number you want people to use for that?
So I wouldn't traditionally, unless there's, I guess, a fight going on, I wouldn't use the 911. But if it's just a traditional loud music, then I would use the 874-3221 number, our general line.
Okay, 874-3221. 1-1. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll be taking this back to the Shoreland Hills Property Owners Association meeting also.
Thank you.
Councilman Beatrice?
Marty, thanks for the data, the number of calls you've gotten. I was at the meeting also. I'm looking forward to going to the next one when we actually look at solutions. But one of the things that hit me at that meeting was several of them argued that this happened at prom, at post-prom. Do you remember if any of those calls you got were at post-prom?
I do. It depends on which post-prom, because we have
Yeah,
prom.
yeah.
I didn't look for that specifically. I can tell you there was one 4/27 of 2025 here. There was another one 5/10 of 2025, and there was one more in 2020 and one 5/4 2025. So I think prom was more in May.
I don't know the date.
I think we just had prom like a couple of weeks ago, if I remember right.
It was.
Yeah. So I don't think either one of those three in 2025 were
Okay.
well the prom.
The other thing that hit me about the meeting we went to was it almost sounds like, at least in the area that we had most of our complaints from, that there's a couple bad apples in there and a lot of people that are doing a fine job. So we just need to red flag the bad apples, and maybe we don't even need a brand new ordinance. I'm kind of against putting an ordinance together with just 2 or 3 people who are messing up. I'd rather put the 2 or 3 people that are messing up on notice than everyone else in Michigan City. But the thing that was said that I really liked, that I hadn't thought about, these are supposed to be registered, but apparently we're not doing a thorough job at doing that. But if we ever did do a good job at doing that, I like the idea of having the fire marshal go to every one of these places and saying that you are rated for 7 people in this place because of how big you are. You can't have any more than that. And then if we get 20 people, 30 people showing up, they are clearly in violation, and we need to make sure that they pay for that and red flag them also. So good information, and appreciate the job you're doing.
Thank you. And I think one thing would be helpful with this, with the registry, if we were able to get a copy of the registry, what we could do is then we could put it into our CAS system. So now when they're dispatched, officers would know that this is an Airbnb or short-term rental, and then we could then maybe work with code enforcement on giving them a list of violators, so those landlords or homeowners could be I guess sanctioned or disciplined for the actions of the people they rent to.
If there's anything else any comments or questions from the council? There are none. We thank you so much for your report and the updates as well. Chief
Thank you.
Mooney.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on next on our agenda, Madam Clerk, are there any petitions?
There are no petitions this evening.
Madam Clerk, on communications?
Correspondence was received in the clerk's office on May 9th from Chad Reddy regarding the proposed substance abuse recovery home. A notice was also received on May 5th from IDEM regarding preliminary findings of renewal of a minor source operating permit.
Madam Clerk, on our first resolution?
A resolution by title only waiving the building permit fee and inspection fee for St. Stanislaus Catholic Church. And this is introduced by Ms. Lee.
Is there any comments from the sponsor?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. So this resolution is for St. Stan's Church. If we actually have some people from St. Stan's, if you want to come up and explain a little bit. They are doing some reconstruction, some repair to their building, and so they're requesting a the permit fee be waived.
But. Oh, go ahead, nothing. Well, no, if you
Okay.
please state your name and your address, please.
Sure, good evening, I'm Camille Higdon, I'm representing St. Stanislaus Catholic Church, which is a non-for-profit, located on the corner of Washington and Ann Street. I want to thank you for your time and consideration for our request to waive the building fee. I'd also like to note, this is our first time, at St. Stan's requesting a waiver or any kind of funds from Michigan City. St. Stanislaus has been an integral part of Michigan City since 1891, which is approximately 134 years for those of us who have trouble calculating that. Our bell towers have graced the skyline over Michigan City for 100 of those years. Our ancestors helped to build this magnificent church with all its beautiful stained glass windows for the purpose of increasing faith, educating children, and helping the community. In fact, a recent independent study called the Halo Effect determined that St. Stanislaus has an economic impact on Michigan City of $4.6 million a year. And I think I included the Halo packet in your packets, or the Halo study. I also have a nice graph in our case statement for anybody. And I'll leave some extra case statements on the table here if anybody wants to take a look at it. The Halo study highlights our preschool to 8th grade school that welcomes every child throughout all of Michigan City, regardless of their religious affiliation or socioeconomic background. Our students are equipped with the tools needed to thrive and become contributing members of Michigan City community. Our class sizes are small, and some of our classes are actually approaching capacity. Our mission primarily focuses on supporting children and families. We actively partner with numerous local charities, including the Women's Care Center, Sacred Heart Food Pantry, LaPorte County Free Car Seat Program, the Salvation Army, and many more. In addition, the events and programs that are held at our church stimulate visitor spending at local businesses throughout Michigan City, such as like hotels, restaurants, and parks. We are currently initiating a two-phase, $3 million capital campaign project. Phase 1 includes the repair of the 16 columns and tuck pointing our twin bell towers at a cost of $1,450,000. Well, phase 2 will address the tuck pointing and remaining facade of the church and the repair of the south rose window. These repairs will not only help us to continue to focus on our mission, but it will also enhance the beauty of the city because it is part of the skyline. St. Stan's is part of our heritage, our present, and our future. We hope the city acknowledges our value and supports us so that we can continue to be a positive economic and spiritual force for generations to come. We respectfully request that you consider waiving our building permits for phase 1 of the project. And thank you for your time. If you have any other questions.
Are there any questions from the council?
I'd like to follow up a little bit with that. So with the building permit fee that they are requesting, so that is for phase 1 only, which is the bell towers and the alternate 1 and the cleaning of the towers. And so that permit fee is $14,490 with additional inspections not expected to exceed $1,000. And so it's for an anticipated total waiver amount not to exceed $15,490. So that's what's being requested today is a permit fee waive of not to exceed $15,490.
Councilman Beatrice?
You mentioned there's a phase 2 though also.
Yes, we don't have the estimates for phase 2. I mean, we can roughly guess what they'll be, which would be another like $1.5 million. But that won't even start until next year in the summer or maybe even the year after.
Conceivable that we'll see you again though?
Maybe. Maybe not.
I'd like to open this up for public comments. For public comments, please keep in mind, you only are allowed 3 minutes. And I will also say, I would prefer we have a clock here. Hold for 1 second. And it's normally sitting up here so that I don't just have to verbally, I don't want to be or come off as being disrespectful. So it times you at your green and then it goes to your yellow. You have how many 15 seconds, and then when the red light comes on, that means that your 3 minutes are up. If not, then I will have to verbally acknowledge that your time has up if you continue to carry on with your comments. So I will gracefully ask that everyone would please respect the time limit of 3 minutes for public comments. Yes, if you'll please
Yeah,
state your
this is
name.
Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I hope you all unanimously approve that. That's St. Stanislaus Church building. That's beautiful. That's been a fabric of our city for that. I could look upside. I'll always look outside my upstairs bedroom window and see that how beautiful it is. You know, we just had to spend $167,000 to tear down the old Swedish missionary Methodist church over on Barker Avenue. We don't want to set. Last thing we want is another city Methodist church like they got at 6th and Washington Street over in the city of Gary. You probably go to YouTube or online and see the state that's in. I just really want this to be passed because we really need that church here. Thank you.
Public comments. Are there any other public comments? Public comments? There are no other public comments. Public comments are now closed. Any other comments from the council?
Yeah, Madam President, I sit on the board of St. Stan's, and so I will be abstaining from the vote because otherwise I would be considered a conflict of interest. So I will not be voting on this.
Thank you, Councilman Prince-Belinsky. Are there any other comments? May I entertain a motion on this resolution?
I move that we approve.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I wanted.
Oh,
Can I-
I'm sorry about that. I came late with the light. But we've had another request just recently to waive the permit fees. I can't recall exactly what it was. What was it? Yeah, Homeward Bound. And this is nothing against the people that are asking for the waiver. And here's the logic. We have been in a real financial crunch. We don't know exactly what is going to happen with laws that are being passed by the state right now in terms of the dollars that we will have to work with when we get around to budget time. We simply don't know. And this is a huge money maker for our city. And if I knew where we stood, and things like that, I could probably make a different decision. But it's strictly for me in the fact that we've already cut, what did we cut last year? $5 million, almost $6 million out of our budget. And we don't know if we may have to do the same based on, what's happening with the state. And I support the church. I've seen that church, been in that church. So I know, these things are important, but as a city councilman being the responsible one for our money, that is just the way that I am thinking about it now. I did not approve the waiver for the Homeward Bound, and I have to vote no myself to waive these permitting fees once again, strictly on the fact that I have no idea where we're going to be when it comes around to budget time. So, it's a tough vote for me to take to do that, but in my mind, I feel like I am protecting the city otherwise at this time, not knowing what our financial situation is going to look like.
I'll just for under council comments as well. I do concur with Councilman Dabney. I as well voted nay in regards to the last request for the permit. And again, we acknowledge and understand, and we know the historic behind the St. Stanislaus family and friends that have attended there for schooling. And it is a pillar in our community. And as well too, by moving forward, if the vote for me would be a yay and I voted no, then that is a wavering as far as my position or my stance and why I voted one over the other. And not only that too, other historic landmarks or future developments, 501c3s, if we chose to pass this as well, then that could also open a floodgate in regards to others requesting to have permit waived as well. So at this time, I would like to entertain a motion for the resolution.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Lee. Is there a second?
Support.
And we have a second by Councilman Beatrice. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Nay.
Ms. Lee. Aye. Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski abstained, Ms. Tillman,
Nay.
and Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
We have 5 in favor, 1 abstained, and 1 not in favor.
And
2
with
not in
that,
favor.
this resolution has passed. Madam Clerk, our second resolution by title only, please.
Resolution by title only, a resolution increasing and decreasing certain appropriations within the budget of the Promise Scholarship Fund 2312 for the year 2025 in Michigan City, Indiana. And this is also introduced by Mr. Dabney.
Does the sponsor have any comments on his resolution?
Yes, what we're doing here is that we're just transferring dollars inside of the scholarship. This is not new money. It's just coming out of contractual services, and it will be put down into salaries and wages and FICA. And this money is being moved to be able to pay our interns that will be coming back. And I think we did this exact same thing last year because this was not in our budget when the budget was made. So we had to move funds down to be able to pay this. So that the transfer of funds is actually, like I said, to pay for our interns that'll be working for us this summer.
I would like to open this up for public comment on this resolution. Are there any public comments on this resolution? Are there any public comments on this resolution? There are none. Public comments are now closed. Any comments from the council? Are there any comments from the council? Any comments from the council? May I entertain a motion on this resolution?
Motion to approve.
Support.
I have a motion by Councilman Preselinski and a second by Councilman Beatrice. Madam Clerk, on the vote.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Ms. Lee. Aye. Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
and Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Madam Clerk, on our first reading or ordinance by title only.
An ordinance on first reading by title only, amending section 78-6 from the Michigan City Municipal Code known as drinking in public and private areas. And this is introduced by Mr. Coulter.
Would the sponsor like to make any comments on his ordinance?
Yes, Madam Chair. So first, really quick, let's do an update on the DORA. So we passed that in January, maybe December of last year. And so the next step on that is doing the application with the state. So we're getting through that process. All of that to say, I'm not sure it's going to be ready in time for something like boat races or even this summer. So don't get your hopes too high, but that makes it a great time to transition into talking about this ordinance a little bit. To get our belts and suspenders together, just to borrow that phrase from earlier in this conversation. So this ordinance revisits the public drinking ordinance that we passed forever ago. And it just clarifies that you are allowed to drink in a DORA district. Otherwise, there would have been those gray areas mixing up against each other to say that you can't drink in the city, but then we've got a law that says you can drink in a DORA. This is that this clarifies that.
Okay. I would like to open this up for public comment. Are there any public comments at this time on this ordinance? Any public comments? Are there any public comments on this ordinance? There are no public comments. Public comments are now closed. Are there any comments from the council? Any comments from the council? Any comments from the council? There are none. This ordinance will carry over to the next council meeting for second reading. Madam Clerk, ordinance on second reading by title only.
An ordinance on second reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the Goff Non-Reverting Fund 2508 for the Parks Department, and this is introduced by Mr. Dabney.
Is there any comments from the sponsor?
Yes, as we discussed in the last meeting, this is money that is coming out of their golf non-reverting fund, and I explained a little bit what a non-reverting fund is. And what they're doing is they're moving this money out of their non-reverting fund down to their Golf Pro merchandise account, so they can go and make purchases of things that they will be selling out there at the golf shop. So that's what this move is all about. I don't know if anybody needs me to explain what a non-reverting fund is again, but Don said no. So we're all right. So we're all good with that. But that's what the dollars are being moved for, putting the $75,000 into the Golf Pro merchandise account so they can go and purchase things to sell in their golf shop.
We will have a formal on this ordinance. It was advertised in the Herald Argus, May 7, 2025. Formal public hearing will be held May 20th, 2025. This is now open for public comments. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Any public comments? Any public comments on this ordinance? There are no public comments. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Councilman Dabney.
Yes, hearing no public comment, I would like to suspend the rules and do second and third reading tonight on this ordinance.
Support.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Dabney and a second by Councilman Pryzbylewski. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
Ms. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Mr. Pryzbylewski.
Aye.
Ms. Tolman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
And Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Madam Clerk, on third reading on this ordinance, please.
An ordinance on third reading by title only, approving additional appropriation in the budget of the Golf Non-Reverting Fund 2508 for the Parks Department. And this is introduced by Mr. Dabney.
Any comments from the sponsor? There are none. Opening up for public comment. Any public comments on this ordinance? Any public comments? Any public comments on this ordinance? There are none. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Councilman Dabney.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Dabney, second by Councilman Pryzbylewski. Madam Clerk, on the vote, please.
Ms. Lee.
Aye.
Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
Mr. Nelson.
Aye.
Mr. Pryzbylewski.
Aye.
Ms. Tillman.
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter.
Aye.
And Mr. Dabney.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Madam Clerk, on our next second ordinance, by title only, please.
An ordinance on second reading by title only, ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Michigan City, Indiana, authorizing issuance of the city's taxable economic development tax increment revenue bonds in one or more series relating to projects to be located in the Tryon Meadow Economic Development Area, the provision of proceeds thereof Tryon Meadow LLC or an affiliate thereof, the establishment of the economic development target area, and approving authorizing other actions in respect thereto. And this is introduced by Ms. Tillman and Mr. Dabney.
Are there any comments from the sponsors? Councilman Dabney.
Yes. I hope this is the final time I explain this one. We're giving bonding authority to the developer to issue his own revenue bond. And also we are creating a housing TIF district where the development is going to happen. And so the dollars for the TIF will be brought back into to help the developer to do what's the word? Infrastructure. Thank you, Skylar. You got stuck. All right. But yes, so the dollars from the TIF will be molded back in to pay for infrastructure that'll be happening around the development. And once again, this bond is not the responsibility of the city. This is going to be issued by the developer, and we are giving that bonding authority for him to do as such.
Mr. York, if you would please.
You are correct. Everything you said is correct. Skylar York, Director of Redevelopment. I would say that we do have Andy Mauser and Randolph Rampola online tonight. If there are further questions about clarity, if you want to clarify anything specific to what you just said.
Thank you, Mr. York.
I don't know if there's any questions.
I will open it up for public comment at this time on this ordinance.
Yes, Tommy Kolovic, 1316. I think this is gonna be a big game changer for the east side of Michigan City. I hope you all move this to third reading so they don't have to keep coming back. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment on this ordinance. Is there any public comment on this ordinance? There are none. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Are there any comments from the council? I'd like to make a motion for second and third reading on this ordinance tonight, please.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Tillman and a second by Councilman Prisbalinski. Madam Clerk on the vote, please.
Ms. Moldenauer,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice,
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
and Ms. Lee.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
Okay. Madam Clerk on third reading on this ordinance by title only.
An ordinance on third reading by title only, ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Michigan City, Indiana, authorizing the issuance of the city's taxable economic development tax increment revenue bond in one or more series relating to projects to be located in the Tryon Meadow Economic Development Area, the provision of the proceeds thereof, the Tryon Meadow LLC or an affiliate thereof, the establishment of the economic development target area, and approving, authorizing other actions in respect thereto. And this is introduced again by Ms. Tillman and Mr. Dabney.
Are there any comments from the sponsors? There are none. I'll open this up for public comment. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Any public comments on this ordinance? Any public comments on this ordinance? There are none. Public comments are now closed. Any comments from the council on this ordinance?
Motion to approve. Well, I think Mr. Dabney
No,
had his light
no,
on.
I was gonna just do that with motion to
Okay.
approve. So I'm
Motion
support.
to approve.
We have a motion by Councilman Prisbalinski and a second by Councilman Dabney. Madam Clerk on the vote, please.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Preselinski,
Aye.
Ms. Tillman,
Aye.
Mr. Beatrice.
Aye.
Mr. Coulter,
Aye.
Mr. Dabney,
Aye.
Ms. Lee,
Aye.
and Ms. Moldenauer.
Aye.
We have 8 in favor and no one opposed.
And this motion carries.
Thank you, council.
You're welcome. Next on the council agenda, we're down to new business. We have no new business for this evening. Next, we have unfinished business. We have no unfinished business at this time. I would like to open this up for comments from the public. Comments are 3 minutes. And please state your name and your
Yes, this is Tommy Kolovic from 1316 Ohio Street. I want to start my public comment with some sad news. I'm very sorry to see that the longtime 35-year owner of the Lucky Stop convenience store on Franklin Street, Mr. Tony Deek, passed away Saturday. My sister Tanya, she worked for him for 20 years up until she died in 2018 from leukemia. And I remember most about Tony when Tanya died, he put a collection jar on the counter at the Lucky Stop, and all her customers took in $300 for that. I think that's what Michigan City is all about. We put that toward the engraving on her headstone at Calvary Cemetery in Portage. I want to wish Councilman Sean Fitzpatrick, former Councilman Sean Fitzpatrick, but his mom Pearl works at the Goodwill store. My mom goes in. They always like to chat like old ladies do. And him and his family, they've all decided to move to Utah. So I want to wish him the best. I think he was a real smart man. I really liked him. I want to go back to Corley's talk about the golf carts. I know in the ordinance support you got to also carry a $25,000 PL&PD insurance policy on the golf carts. So you got to have insurance to ride. You just can't get on your golf cart willy-nilly and drive if you ever do pass this sort. I hope you don't. I think it'd just be a bad idea for Michigan City. But what Sasha said, I actually applied to be on the Citizens Advisory Board for the Solid Waste District. I just want to wish them the best. I think we kind of made a big mistake back in 2009 when we transitioned from the little red bins to the big red toters. I think it was kind of illogical to issue the recycling toter to every household in the city when every household don't do the recycling. I think a lot of the residents, they load their recycling receptacle with the garbage, they put it out to the alley. The refuse department don't pick it up. We need to start cracking down on that. And that I wish them all the best. Even though I'm not in the city advisor, I still want to help. But do your recycling. I just want to say everybody go out and enjoy the food truck fest. They're gonna have music at the Guy Foreman Amphitheater over Memorial Day weekend. I always like the Jamaican Cool Runnings Jamaican jerk chicken food truck because they're always Jamaican me happy. I want to say the Michigan City Farmers Market's going to be starting up too. 8th and Washington, 8 to noon every Saturday all the way up until October. Go out and support that. Other than that, I want to wish y'all, and that'll conclude my public comment. Smoking carbon monoxide detectors save lives.
Thank you, Mr. Klavick. Public comment?
My name is Gary Burnham, 605 Washington Park Boulevard, Michigan City. I received this letter from BFNS Civil Engineering a couple weeks ago. It's about they want to redo our street. They want to claim 10 foot of my property, not just my property, my neighborhood. I have a few neighbors here at the same time. They want to take 10 foot of our property and reclaim it for this road. This engineering company's out of Indianapolis. Nobody came talk to us. Nobody did anything. When I got this letter, my first call was to Greg Kohler, my councilman, and he seemed to kind of blow me away on this, saying that if the city wants to do it, they can do it. My next call was to the mayor. The mayor sent the city engineer out to me, which says he didn't know anything about this. Nobody in the city seems to know anything about this. The planning department didn't know anything about this. And I cannot believe, first of all, this is not a city project. I should have said that. This is a state project funded by the state. But nobody in the city seems to know anything about it, and I want some answers. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment?
Ernie Hallahan, 302 Gladys Street. To start with, I want everybody to know that a wonderful person passed away, Joyce Gaston. She was head of the Housing Authority for many years, and I worked with her son for 22 years, the one that got killed. But it was sad to hear her passing away. She was a neighbor of my sister-in-law for many years on 7th Street there. And it was sad to see that in the paper. But I was a little disappointed with the last council meeting. You cut some people off that wanted to express their comments, and you just shut them down. They were standing waiting to express their comments. Our public comments means a lot to the public and you. We express things that you don't know about and you need to know about. So you need to listen to all the public comments, regardless of how long it takes you. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment?
Willa Faye Moore, 515 Grace Street, Michigan City, Indiana. I am here tonight to let you guys know that the NAACP State President, Sadie Harper Scott, is going to be in our city tomorrow night at the Hope Center. And we would like for you guys, the council members and the public to know, and for you guys to come out to the Hope Center at 6 o'clock. And to hear our state president tell the NAACP what the national NAACP is doing. We know that we have a president that's taken away a lot of things. And so she's going to be letting us know what the national NAACP is going to do, and also our local NAACP. We would like to see you guys with your presence, and we are going to have some food, not enough to serve the city, but we definitely would like for you to come out, the Hope Center, 6 o'clock, to hear our state president of the NAACP. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
My name is Tom Nazemic. I live at 214 Ann Street. It seems to be a recurring theme tonight, but I too am an alumnus of St. Stanislaus School. I might add that our school, a proud school, has produced 1 mayor of Michigan City, 3 police chiefs, and at least 5 members of this body. Our concern is that new drug rehab facility posed at the corner of Ann and Wabash is a distinct safety concern to the teachers, students, administrators, and we the neighbors of the area. We can and should find a better location for this facility. We at St. Stan's comprise hundreds of alumni, many of whom still live here in Michigan City. We're proud, we remember, and we vote. Thank you.
Thank you. This is the last call for public comment. Public comments are now closed. Comments from the council. Councilman Prisbalinski.
Yeah, Madam President, first thing that I'd like to announce is that on Thursday, June the 12th, at the Senior Center, we're going to have the annual reception for the Humanitarian of the Year Award, and that'll be taking place. Tickets are $25 a piece. I know that many folks on the council members have bought tickets, and if anybody from the public wishes to buy any tickets, feel free to give me a call. This year's award winner is Lynn Haverstock. He's the Humanitarian of the Year for 2025. Well-deserving, outstanding community member. The other thing, we have Memorial Day coming up, Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day will be Monday. And if you don't have a flag, go out and buy a flag and fly it proper or fly it proudly for the United States of America. The other thing, I want to thank the Refuse and the Street Department for their valiant work in the city-wide cleanup that we just completed. It seems like, we get the city cleaned up and right away people start doing what they want to do again. But times are changing and people aren't going to be able to be doing that. Just for example, for your yard waste is the same day as your garbage day now. Your yard waste pickup is the same day as your garbage day. Mine is, Ernie, so I'm just telling you. And you get to put in 4 32-gallon garbage cans with yard waste. In the paper, it was 3, but the ordinance is 4. And last but not least, the other thing is, and the President Tillman asked me to look into it, was for the council workshop for the Lafayette Barker Street sewer project, and when the meeting was going to be, and that meeting is going to be scheduled right after Labor Day. Okay, the first part of September. Information has to be gathered. Other events are coming up in the summertime that myself and the sanitary district thought it would be good just to let people do and go do their summertime activities. But it's very critical that when this meeting comes, that all the council members are there to hear what this project is all about. Okay, and finally, reading it on the front page today in the newspaper, and if you go home and read the paper, you'll see that IDEM and the Republican legislature, in all their wisdom, had cut the E. coli funding for Michigan City from $24,000 a year, whereby the park department was doing E. coli testing 3 times a day during the summer months. And now they cut it from 24,000 to 8,000. Now the park department's out looking for a grant to cover the other 16,000, which to me is absolutely ludicrous. If the park department needs money to do testing down there at our lakefront, the Diamond and the joy of Michigan City and all the visitors throughout the Midwest that come here, that we have to make sure that our lake is clean and protect. To me, it's a health issue, public safety health issue, that we get this taken care of. So I'm just telling the park board now, and I'm telling the mayor and Shannon Eason, the park superintendent, publicly, if you need the money, come to the city council. We have $18,000, I think, that we can spare to get this testing taken care of. So, with that being said, thank you very much.
Councilwoman Moldenauer.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I do want to recognize another of our sustainability commissioners made it this evening. Faye Moore, who made the NAACP announcement, and she's our newly elected vice chair. So congratulations, Faye, for that. And also, I call her our Uber sustainer because she has solar panels on her house. She does the zero carbon emissions for her home. Faye has signed up for every single project that we've ever promoted and shares that with many people in the community. So thank you so very much, Faye, for your service to the Sustainability Commission and also our community overall. Most of the things I find out about, it's from you. So thank you for very much for being our Uber networker also. Also, I wanted to announce that there's a new law that was passed in Indianapolis, which bans marijuana advertising in Indiana. And illegal now are billboards, mailers, digital ads, and mobile trucks. So pretty much they've closed out any advertising whatsoever for the product of marijuana within our state. Governor Mike Braun signed this, and it was tucked into a little motor vehicle bill. And so I don't know if they snuck it in there or what, but congratulations to our state for getting that passed. I also want to clarify on my abstained vote on the resolution that was presented for that. I didn't know how to vote because I thought I didn't have enough information at the time. And I also stand by large issues like this actually being handled by state or federal government. And that's how we got our bans on alcohol in cigarette advertising. It was because the federal government did that. So I'm very glad that the state government took care of this. So this is something we don't have to be concerned about anymore. And then my last announcement is about Northwest Indiana Green Drinks. And I know I announced this last time, but I'm so excited about this, I have to mention it again. On Thursday, June 5th at 6:30 p.m., Brian Forrest, who is an IU professor and once again a national park ranger for the summer, way up in northern Michigan, he's going to be presenting on Harriet Colfax, our lighthouse keeper, and on Ann Hartwell, a Michigan City public school teacher who lived here in Michigan City in the 1800s. I was privileged to hear his presentation live last Pride Month. And you can catch this either on Save the Dunes Facebook Live page, or you can get the Zoom link from m@savedunes.org. That's M like EM as in Emily, at savedunes.org. So thank you very much.
Councilman Dabney.
Yes, at the last meeting, I tried to give the park sticker dates, and I felt like I was like all over the place. So I want to read it this time. Gail, I think I got it this time. Read it because I felt like I was like all over the place. So the park stickers, they're being given out already, but you can pick yours up Tuesday through Friday from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock down at the North Point Pavilion, and on Saturdays from 9 to 1. And these have to be picked up by July 3rd. They're going to shut down the operation at July 3rd. That'll be the last day to pick those up. So once again, 10 to 6, Tuesday through Friday, and 9 to 1 at the North Point Pavilion. Pick up your park stickers.
Councilman Coulter.
Thank you. So I wanted to touch on two things. First, I wanted to respond to the comments from the residents on Washington Park Boulevard. You can get the information about the Washington Park beautification project from the planning department. I've seen them there. They have them. They're good plans. They add sidewalks and parking bump outs. It's a really good plan.
I didn't hear you. From what department?
The planning department.
I went there last week and they had nothing.
So then the second thing I wanted to comment on was the workshops that we've been having about short-term rentals. So last week, that was only a week ago, we had the first one that was May 13th. We talked about some of the problems we've seen with Airbnbs. And one thing that we talked about, but I just want to underline, is that on Fogarty, we've got 3 houses. One of them is advertised as Party House Sleeps 50. And it's got 2 other houses attached to it, and they encourage you to rent all 3 and move between them. So that's a problem. So we talked about that a bit, but I wanted to just underline that again. That's one of the problem houses that we've been talking about on Fogarty. So on June 10th, we'll have another meeting in the EOC room at 6 o'clock, covering some of the solutions. And I agree with Mr. Beatry about we don't need to create new legislation to go after 1 person or 2 people. We've got good legislation out there that should already be solving this problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I guess that leaves me. I just have one announcement as a reminder. Let's Talk Solutions, the Michigan City Matters Town Hall meetings. The next one is tomorrow, the 22nd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. at Squat Post 121 Squat Legion Ave. And that's all I have other than with Memorial Day coming up. I ask that you all be safe, be mindful, enjoy yourselves, and I would like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, move.
Thank you. Everyone have a good evening.